Welcome to the Lakeshow podcast presented by Jack in the Box. It's a weekly deep dive into the biggest stories and topics surrounding the Los Angeles Lakers. I'm Allie, Clifton, joined by my Laker insider, our Laker insider, Mike Bresnahan, and from Locked On Lakers and host of Lakers Talk. Did I do that right?
Yes, you did.
Wow. Good.
My Lakers Talk host. Is that better?
Lakers Talk host.
I wish that I had reached the stature, whether at ESPN or at the Locked On Network or here, that I could have my own personal insider like you do. Like just an insider on call. You just call Brez at 3 a.m. because you need some inside stuff.
Happens all the time.
Yes.
All the time.
It just...
What inside stuff do I need from Mike Bresnahan at 3 a.m.?
That's for the insiders to
determine. That's for the insiders.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. You never know when like a breaking story is going to happen. And I've had to call people at like 12:30 a.m. This is more when I was at the LA Times and say, hey, is this happening? Like wake people up.
Oh.
And they're like, I don't know. Well, you need to make a phone call and find out because I think it's happening. Sometimes you have to do that, especially as a beat writer. I'll tell you what, I was having a great time. 4th of July, about 15 years ago.
Wait.
Yes.
Steve Nash.
Steve Nash.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I was a couple drinks into the volleyball tournament I was playing in, and and all of a sudden I got the tip, Steve Nash is coming to the Lakers.
I remember that because when it happened, I was on vacation, and I told Brian, you handle it.
You handle it.
You're a good brother.
I don't think I even had a laptop with me. I said, you're on that one, buddy.
I needed the Brian, too, that day.
I'll
tell you what, I went home, which wasn't that far from where we were playing volleyball, hammered out a story. Steve Nash, it was 2010, now that I think about it. And was it 2010? 2012. What the hell
2012, because 2010 they won a championship.
It was an Olympic year.
Yep.
And, and Steve Nash. So you never know when you're going to get interrupted and have to work. So, Allie, AK, this extends to your brother, too. If you guys ever want to call me at 3 a.m. and talk Lakers, I'm ready.
I needed you in July of 2014 when I stepped foot on a pontoon 2 shots in when LeBron returned to Cleveland.
What? What did you do?
Said, we turned the pontoon around and I went and smashed a foot-long sub, waited 1 hour and drove to Cleveland.
That's a good
water. Not great.
Turn this pontoon around.
Literally.
LeBron is back in the land.
Apparently he's really good at basketball. And I have
like
to
go. One of those horns you sound.
Yes, we do.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
You know, that's a good business decision. That's a pretty big story. That's a real big story.
Trust me. I was very upset. We had to turn that pontoon around.
Do you get the pontoon deposit back, or at that point is that just money you burned?
Wait, did the what?
Did you get the pontoon deposit back?
Oh no, it was my college teammate's husband's steakhouse. Yeah.
Oh, okay,
good.
Yeah,
he
just had to turn that.
Did they almost make you swim? Like, here's a life jacket and a little dinghy. Just get back if you can.
No, because I think at that time they were probably bigger. They were like, "Oh my God, this is so cool." I'm like, "Yeah," until you have to go freaking work.
Right.
And you guys are all going to be hammered out in the middle of the lake celebrating.
That's the worst.
It's not fun.
It happens.
It was fun.
It happens.
Yeah.
Good for you.
We all need our BKs and our
personal insider.
My MBs.
Lackey.
What?
Lackey.
Yeah. We all need that.
Yeah, we need interns.
You know?
Hey, can you need some Locked On Lakers interns?
You can't call BK because you're sitting here.
No.
You are our insider. And the Lakers got some tough news today.
Yeah.
Jarred Vanderbilt. That's where we're going to start. We'll dive into the most recent stretch, the way the team is going right now. Even though Vando hasn't played at all this season, this is big news. Obviously, in case you're just now tuning into all of this.
Out on a pontoon?
Not on a pontoon, but I bet he wishes he was right now. Throughout his progression of the foot surgeries and the procedures that he had over the summer, he had a setback, and there is an effusion in his left knee, and reevaluated and hopeful to return in January.
Yeah. I mean, Allie, it's the story that just doesn't improve. You know, he's in the first year of that 4-year contract extension that he signed a year ago. And obviously a huge piece of this puzzle for this team. Defensively, we've been talking for a while. They've been bottom 5 in defensive rating for a while. And now he had the 2 foot surgeries, one on each foot during the offseason. And what's a fusion? It's basically like swelling. Okay, I'm gonna make it pretty generic. So he's got swelling in the knee. You have to wonder, is that from, I'm not going to get too crazy, but sometimes you're trying to adjust. Maybe one of the feet wasn't feeling too well, so you put more weight on the other foot. Maybe that's where the swelling in the knee came from. Who knows? But bottom line, now he has a knee issue, And, December just started. So we're 29 days from being in January. So, yeah, disappointing because we've seen what he can do for the Lakers. He was so I always go back to the last game he played for them, February 1st, in Boston. Huge upset for the Lakers. The Stars were not playing that night for the Lakers, and Jarred Vanderbilt was a big reason why they won that game, even though he got hurt right before halftime. So if he's back in January, that's 11 months before he has played an NBA game. It's a lot to ask, AK. It's a lot.
Yeah, something Brian and I have talked a lot about recently on the Locked On Lakers podcast is from Rob Pelinka's perspective in terms of the decisions he decides to make, not make, whatever, in terms of moves that he might make. He has to, I think, move forward with the presumption that Jarred Vanderbilt won't be available this season, which doesn't mean that he won't be.
True.
And it doesn't mean that you're already writing off his season. I just feel like you have to go with the presumption that he won't be available because we don't know for sure when he's going to be back. And given what an ordeal it's been to get Jarred Vanderbilt back on the court, you can't assume that once he's back, he's staying there. So, and honestly, I think a lot of the needs for this team stay the same with or without Jarred Vanderbilt. But either way, I hate this because I really love what Vando brings to this team, and I think they really miss him a lot. And there's certain things that he does that I think is really singular in one player. Like, I don't think there's any non-AD player that brings the combination of defense, physicality, rebounding, certain edge when he plays, like a versatility defensively. Like, there's a lot of optionality that JJ loses by not having Vando available. But unfortunately, I think Rob Pelinka just has to assume that's going to be the case for this season, and you hope to be pleasantly surprised.
AK and Allie, just look at some of the more recent games. You play OKC, he's the guy who's probably going to guard Shea.
Yep.
When you play Phoenix, he's the guy they're probably going to stick on Booker. I mean, these are top flight players. Anthony Edwards, last night, Minnesota. Who's going to guard him? Probably Jarred Vanderbilt. So, it seems like game after game after game. I feel like every NBA team has a superstar these days. Even in Charlotte, not a good team. You got to worry about LaMelo Ball. So, I mean, who's going to guard those guys in the backcourt? It's probably going to be Jarred Vanderbilt. So it hurts. It really hurts in the areas you don't see it in the score sheet, in the box score. He's not going to get you 20 points and 10 rebounds. We all know that. But, it hurts. It really hurts. And, we'll see what they can do and if they can keep treading water between now and his return in at least a month or so.
Of course, you just root for him to be able to return and play again because that's the one thing I think we've all learned about Vando is he's a competitor and he wants to be a part. Great dresser. So we do have that.
We're seeing, unfortunately, too many of his outfits, but great dresser.
Though we love the fashion, Vando, we would prefer seeing you in a Laker uniform. So hopefully, too, with that said, when he does return, what are you going to be expecting of him, given it's been that long, Brez, to your point? And then also, there's the whole mental side of all of this, right? And just it's kind of like overcoming that and understanding how much time you've missed and trying to feel and get back to where you were and your ability to be able to help and impact. There's a lot that goes into an injury like this.
You're absolutely right. Yeah, Allie, you're absolutely right. And by the time he will have played, it will have basically been an entire year away. Because he played on February 1st of last year. Now, good news for the Lakers, they actually have a template on their team right now for this. Christian Koloko. He sat out about a year and a half of calendar time because of the blood clots. And now he's getting his minutes. He's getting his time. Now, you can't compare Koloko to Vando. Vanderbilt should be playing 25 to 30 minutes a game for the Lakers. I mean, it's going to take a while to ramp up to that. For any player to go from sitting out 11 months, at least, AK, to playing 25-plus minutes, it is a long, gradual ramp up. Obviously, he's coming off the bench, and who knows what the offense looks like. He can stick those corner threes from time to time, but he's a guy who I think needs to get a lot of minutes so the offense can be suitable because the defense will always be there.
I mean, the truth is I don't think you can expect anything. Like to Allie's original question, I don't think there's anything you can truly expect with Vando because, again, it's been so hard just to keep him out on the court for a sustained period. Because, I remember last year, he was hurt to start the season. He got hurt,
That's right.
He got hurt in, I believe, training camp, or maybe the first.
Yeah, he played that
preseason
game versus
preseason
the
game.
Warriors, right?
Yeah.
The one preseason game, and then
Right.
yep.
Got hurt, came back, played for a couple weeks, maybe 2-3 weeks, was not very effective at all. Didn't look like himself. Got shut down again. Then came back, looked great. Like he was great for, I want to say maybe 10-ish games, something like that. Then got hurt again. We haven't seen him since. And, there's felt like there's been a lot of setbacks. There was, the game 5 last year against Denver where, remember, he was active
yeah.
and, in it's obvious now that was gamesmanship.
Yeah, it was a bluff.
But it's led to a lot of confusion, I think, because, we started hearing whispers and some concerns that he was not going to be available to open training camp. Brez, I remember you created a stir when you
accidentally.
Right.
Yeah.
You had mentioned that. Then we found out during Rob Pelinka and JJ Redick's media day, oh, by the way, he had off-season foot surgeries.
Yeah.
So there's been a lot that I think we're just keeping up with when it comes to Vando. So again, when he's actually able to play, I am expecting nothing. And I think you have to keep your expectations low because it's just been so hard to get him playing.
Yeah.
Fair.
And
very fair.
And I think right now too, obviously you kind of hit it with, he does give you, when he is out there and he is healthy, we know what he does. He is in his own right as irreplaceable a player on this team. Yes.
Like in terms of just singularity. Like there's really nobody else that fills the Vando role the same way.
Yeah. But until we get to that space, the Lakers have some issues right now, obviously, right? We just finished the 5 games in 7 days, 21 games in. You're what, 12-9? 12-9 is the record. The comments that came out of the locker room versus Minnesota, which is the last game, obviously, as we're recording this. I know you kind of have it ingrained from LeBron talking about the offense to even his thought of we've put so much stock in getting our offense right or our defense right that now our offense has slipped. Maybe this isn't an aberration like we thought, as you heard from JJ. How are we feeling right now about where the Lakers are?
Allie, stats say a lot, and I hate to get bogged down in them, but they haven't scored 80 points in a game, only 80 points in a game in almost 8 years. That's a big eye-opener right there. And Austin Reeves, he probably would have gotten them close to 100 had he played, mid-90s at least. But if you look at their last few games, 93 points at home against OKC, and then 80 on the road last night in Minnesota. Tired team, no doubt about it. I said this on the post-game show last night. The NBA a few years ago did away with 4 games in 5 nights. Good job. How is 5 games in 7 nights any better than that? I mean, that's a lot. I'm tired, and all we do is talk, and it seems like a very fatigued team. Other comments that came out, I thought AD nailed it. He said, look, this team can be phenomenal. It can also be disgusting, was the word that he used.
This is also the second time we've heard him say this in 21 games.
Yeah. I
believe he said it after the Detroit loss.
Yeah, I think they're confused too. They're like, what are we?
Yeah.
And Christmas is generally the date where you realize really what you are. So that's still 3 weeks away. But, disgusting is a little strong, but I understand why he was frustrated afterwards. I mean, this team still started off 3-0 not that long ago, 3 kick-ass wins at home, started off 7-0 at home in general, and has some nice wins, 12-9. It's not horrible, especially in the West these days. But AK, just a lot of confusion out there. AD also used the word randomness to describe the offense. I thought that was really interesting too.
JJ afterwards talked about how there's been a lack of ball and body movement, and you see it over the last handful of games where the offense has really plummeted. Like there's a lot of ISO ball, there's a lot of stagnation, there's a lot of slow dribbling up the court where 7 or 8 seconds go by just on the 24-second clock, just getting across half court. Like it doesn't feel like they're really getting to action crisply or with a lot of purpose. JJ also mentioned, and obviously this is a byproduct of losing games, but that they're not having fun with the offense the way they were early on.
Yep.
And I thought that was really telling. Like,
That's a problem.
you know, when you're whipping the ball around and everything's moving and everybody feels involved, it's more fun, regardless of who scores. And right now, it feels much more just bogged down and slow. I think predictable. I think that makes it much harder. And JJ alluded to this, to have Anthony Davis be the hub of the offense, be the guy who's always touching the ball. Like, that was a big edict heading into this season. But when you become predictable, it's easy to load up on AD.
Mm-hmm.
And they feel right now, the fatigue, I think, is clearly a factor, especially with LeBron. And I know they've played a lot of games of late, but it's still only a quarter of the way into the season. Like, if fatigue is already a thing a quarter of the way in, that's alarming, frankly. Like, I mean, I get the idea that LeBron's pushing 40. I get that AD is playing with plantar fasciitis. They were both Olympics, all of that. Doesn't change the fact that it's still game 21. Like, that is something that if you're the coaches and Rob Pelinka, even the players themselves, you have to be examining that and wondering, like, okay, how do we offset this? Because we still got 61 games to go.
Because, yeah, to that point, those games are they're going to continue.
Yes.
They don't care about your fatigue.
No.
Having said that,
They will exploit it, whoever they are.
Right.
On any given night.
You mentioned the fatigue. You mentioned LeBron struggling from deep, as we all know right now. He's touched on his offense 0 for 19 in the last 4 games. Of course, as we have seen him shoot the 3-ball really well, he's in a slump there. After the game, JJ spoke about if the goal should be for LBJ to play all 82. Take a listen.
I mean, I think we are measuring the players, and you know, we can tell if a guy's running hot or whatever. He does a remarkable job of taking care of his body and getting recovery. I don't know. I don't know that's in the best interest of him and us if he does that. But if he's feeling well and feeling good, then he should play. But we obviously want to manage that as best we can.
I mean, that's a goal, but we'll see. But it's something I ain't discussing right now.
This is a hard one. This is a hard one because it's LeBron. It's a hard one because of all that he has done, of how he's sensitive to just the concept of rest, how he's prided himself on being available. But yeah, what do you think's going on in his mind right now? Because he's also someone that takes a lot of pride in being efficient, not turning the basketball over, wanting to be his best for his team.
I think what's going through his mind is a lot of different versions of this is hard as hell.
Yeah.
Like, this is really like one of the ways, as much as LeBron still plays at an unprecedented level at like this stage of a career, and even over the last couple years when he's all NBA and still putting up pretty amazing numbers, it does not look effortless the way it used to. Like, you covered LeBron in Cleveland. Like, you saw this up close.
Even while pontooning.
Well, especially after pontooning.
Especially after pontooning.
Especially after pontooning, because he
One
came
of
back.
his greatest playoffs was the year he played all 82.
Yeah.
Wow. How about that?
LeBron used to make this stuff look easy. Now he can still do some pretty amazing stuff at times, but you feel the sweat. Like, you feel the efforting. Like, this is work. And I think that's one of the big issues they're going to have to figure out moving forward in terms of whether you're talking about managing his minutes, managing his games, managing what he does on the court. This is no longer easy for him. And it's likely never going to be easy again. And I think it's been moving in this direction for the last few years. And I don't think people have necessarily been as open towards this as they probably should have been. But this is something that has to be addressed moving forward. Like, they now have to make LeBron's job easier, or make, his court time easier in ways that I'm not sure they're equipped to do. But they have to try to figure out a way.
The Lakers are lucky because after these next few games, they're going to have a swath of 10 days where they play only 2 games, because that's when the in-season tournament, NBA Cup, that's when those games are going to be scheduled. We'll have 1 home, 1 road. It's a really good time for this team to catch up with rest, with maybe a practice or two, light practice, or, whatever. So they have a natural period of rest built in because they're not going to the NBA Cup championship. That's established. So, they have a natural rest coming up. As far as LeBron, I could see someone going to him, probably JJ, and saying, "Do you want to start sitting out a couple front ends of back-to-backs or second ends of back-to-backs?" There's going to be a conversation. There's too many people talking about it in the media. ESPN had a big story about it today. We talked about it a little bit on the post-game show. This team seems tired, and there has to be a conversation between maybe LeBron's representatives and Rob Pelinka, or LeBron and JJ. There's going to be a talk. How are you feeling? What can we do? What do you want to do? And it'll probably be, it's going to be LeBron's, he's going to dictate the terms. He's going to say, you know what? I'll be okay. We've got this natural rest built in next week. Just get through the next 3 games. And maybe I'll sit out one of those games during that 10-day stretch. So I'm only playing 1 game in 10 days. That would be my guess as to what happens. He might have to wave goodbye to 82. But he did plenty of times over the years, Allie, and it's not a big forfeiture for him.
Do you think just simply where did that microphone go? Do you think just simply the usage could fix this?
Well, it was lower at the beginning of the season. Like
right. I actually have the stat, and I put my phone on the charger, and now I'm going to see if Nacho can.
Nacho, making his debut.
I've been digging through this, and his usage over the last 10 games is actually the highest on the team.
Job, Nacho.
Whereas
over the last how many games?
I think 10.
Okay.
He's got the highest usage surge in the last 5.
Whoa.
And
Good
remember,
stat.
it was Anthony Davis for a while.
Here it is. Anthony Davis's usage rate over the 10-4 start, 31.2%. His usage rate over the 2-5 stretch that we just went through, this 2-5 stretch, or the last 7 games, I guess, 26.7%.
Yeah, it's dropping.
LeBron's usage rate over 10-4 start was 26%. LeBron's during this stretch, the 2-5 stretch, 30.5.
Yeah, I mean,
they flipped.
LeBron can't.
Yeah.
LeBron cannot handle all of this. Like in certain ways, I think his role is too big on this team. Like in terms of what he can actually handle, and also on the court, some of the things that he isn't, like defensively. Like we know that at this stage of his career, the defense is going to be pieced out, and there's going to be like pieced out, like piece by piece, as opposed to piece out. I want to make sure that's clear.
Very clear. Yes.
Yeah, like it's not at that level, but like we know this by now, and it's not uncommon to superstar players, older one. Like this is not specific to LeBron, and that's something that's been baked into the cake, frankly, for a few years. But he's on the court a long time for him to be playing defense at that level. So you have to account for it on some level. And then if the offense all of a sudden isn't working, particularly with the outsized role he has, even with, I guess, the second highest usage on the team, I feel like there's a lot that is on his plate that I think at this point maybe more than he can legitimately handle. But then you have to figure out, where do these duties come from? Who picks up that slack? Is Austin capable of more? I'm not sure. Is D'Angelo Russell capable of more? I'm not sure. Can you start feeding Rui more shots to put up, or Dalton Connect? Like, it has to come from somewhere. But I think we've reached a point where it's just very clear it's too much for him.
The one thing that surprises me in particular, the 3-point touch. Set a personal record last season, 41% from 3-point range. Good volume, too. He wasn't taking 3 a game, if you know what I mean. And there were logo threes, and Billy Mack would get crazy. And, we haven't seen a lot of those this year. And that's the big surprise for me, is that the 3-point touch has dissipated, because it was strong last year. If you're in your 21st year and setting a record for any category personally, Allie, that's a good sign. And he did it last year with 3-point accuracy. Yeah. And it's fallen off. It's not like he's shooting 19% from deep. It's not awful, but it's not 41%.
Well, but you know what? It's funny, for all the focus right now, because as of this recording, he is 0 for 19 in his last threes. I believe he's gone 4 games without hitting a 3. I was taking a look at some of his numbers around the rim, because that's often where LeBron has just been like a truly one-of-one monster. And this season, he is shooting 68% in the restricted area, 61% over the last 5 games. Last season, 70% in the restricted area. The season before that, 76. This season, 58% on layups, 53% in the last 5 games. Last season, 62%. The season before, 67. And then per Basketball Reference, from 0 to 3 feet, 69%. The lowest mark of his career since his rookie year. And he's 74% on his career in 0 to 3 feet. 76% as a Laker. So, like, that's inside and outside. These struggles are happening. Very pronounced.
That's a fair comparison. But it's not a massive drop-off. It's not like he's down to 48% from 0 to 3 feet.
Right.
You know? But every percentage point counts when you're in your 22nd season. So I respect the deep dive there. That's
I had some time.
You know, and by the way, the Laker coaching staff and the Lakers analytics crew and the Laker front office, they have all these numbers and then some. You know, they're poring over it. They can tell who's fatigued at any point in any game or any stretch of games. So they know what we know too. Although I didn't know what you just pointed out.
Yeah, I mean, look, if JJ and the staff want to talk with me about some of these numbers and some of these discoveries, my line is always open.
Stats Insider.
Yeah, you can be the Stats Insider.
Yeah. You could get like a new seasonal job.
Just he can't call me at 3 a.m, though. I'm not picking up.
You're not picking up.
No.
Well, if there's
AK's
one thing
on the pontoon, he's staying on that pontoon.
If there's dang it, I can't believe I got off. If there's one thing we know about LeBron James is he won't use fatigue as an excuse, but he will find a way to be better for his team.
Yeah.
There is a positive, but then it kind of goes hand in hand with something that's uncharacteristic of him and drives him crazy. His assists, he's at 9 a game, though his points are on average down, but turning the ball over a little bit, which he's called out himself.
Yeah.
That obviously needs to change, but we'll see what happens moving forward with LBJ.
It's got to be hard. Like,
I couldn't imagine.
When you are one of the best to ever do something, like ever, and to all of a sudden your body doesn't cooperate in the same way, and for the time being you can't figure out the way to push through it, that has to be an incredibly vulnerable state for LeBron to be in right now.
On top of the team struggling and trying to figure out, because that was the other thing that I was going to kind of put a bow on this before we go to break, is that they've shown signs, which is why, right, JJ had that one comment about the aberration to begin with. They've shown signs of who they can be, who they are, and to then now see the stretch of really struggling, you know, it's like you've shown that you're capable, but now it's a matter of getting that consistently. And obviously that's something that they're continuing to work through. All right, here we are. Lakeshow fans, remember, you can be a part of the show each week. Feel free to send us your questions and comments. We'd love to hear from you. We're going to take a quick break. It's our favorite game. When we return, it's Around a Bucket or Brick. Welcome back to Lakeshow Podcast, presented by Jack in the Box. If you're enjoying the show, you can check out more original podcasts from our Spectrum News journalists on the Spectrum News app. Just head to the podcast section to listen to the latest episodes. You can download the Spectrum News app on the App Store or Google Play. Time now for Around a Bucket or Brick, presented by Jack in the Box. Speaking on the Jarred Vanderbilt injury,
you really
that was
gave
for
it your
my
all
guy
there.
in the back who loves Jack in the Box.
Good job.
Speaking, his name is Brett. On the Jarred Vanderbilt injury, in the article released on ESPN.com, quote, his absence has also prevented the Lakers front office from fully evaluating the needs of its roster as trade season approaches, end quote. You touched on this. Bucket or brick, Jarred Vanderbilt's absence prevents the front office from evaluating roster needs. Should you just...
I'm going brick. I'm going brick on that.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
Yeah, because to me, they should proceed as if Jarred Vanderbilt will not be back. And also, even if he does come back, as far as something like wing defense or two-way wings, which I would say is the number one need for this team, it's not like Vando coming back solves that by himself. You're going to need more wing defense. You're going to need two-way wings, whether Jarred Vanderbilt is available or not. So to me, it shouldn't actually prevent it unless I guess you're trying to move Vanderbilt specifically, and his inability to get on the court makes it difficult to move him. But otherwise, no, to me, it shouldn't, because I feel like the needs are there with or without him.
Yeah, I'll brick it too. I feel like you already know what you get with him. You get your 7 or 8 points a game. You get stellar defense. I think that's kind of baked into the equation. He's not going to show up and start hitting 5 threes a game. But yeah, you need to know what he looks like when he does play. And the trade deadline is, a little over 2 months away. It always seems so far away when the season starts, AK. And then all of a sudden you're like, yeah, we're 2 months away. Yeah, we're 1 month away. Yeah, we're 2 days away.
Well, we're
from
getting
the
to
trade
December 15th, and that marks, the first date where a lot of guys become available.
I believe about 20% of the league.
We are in December, Allie.
Yeah, Allie, is that crazy? Have you done any shopping yet, Allie, by the way?
I have.
What?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm impressed.
You know who I bought for
Who?
already?
Me.
Our makeup artists.
Well, look at you.
Good for you.
Yeah.
They
Keep them
deserve
happy.
it.
They make us
I
look
hope
good.
you hear me in the makeup room when I say that.
They work very hard. They deserve it.
I actually
do.
bought for Brett and Nacho already.
Nice.
Yeah.
Some Jack in the Box?
Nacho just side-eyed you so hard. Brett,
Jack
you
in
think
the
he's
Box.
crazy, huh?
Jack in the Box.
Bucket. Speaking of that, really quick, Jack in the Box, one of our makeup artists, her cousin is such a fan of the way Billy Mack says Morongo and Jack in the Box.
Good times.
Oh, to the point where Marissa's like, maybe I could get him to wish her a happy birthday with like a little cameo of Jack in the Box.
Billy Mack has wired the art of being Billy Mack.
So good.
Like he is
Incredible.
perfect.
So good.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Love
Not
Billy.
all of us can be ourselves to the full extent.
Billy.
So just so you
Is
know.
Billy Mack on Cameo, by the way?
We're going to make one.
Yeah. Well, he'll
Just
do
for her.
it for free for Marissa.
Yeah, it was so funny. I was
gotta run
like,
it past
she
Marissa.
goes, she would just love that birthday gift. I'm like, Billy
Yeah,
Mack saying, okay, yes, I hear you.
I bet if we FaceTimed him right now, he'd probably pick
When
it.
I did the game with him last year, that first one in Utah, and he did it, I literally had to remove my microphone because I was just thinking of that, laughing so hard. And he looked at me kind of like, what the? It's so funny.
Should we try to get Billy
Little
Mack
do
on the
you
phone?
know, you have a person out there that loves.
Okay, wait a minute. So this is a little bit behind the curtain. So each one of those, like Jack in the Box and Good Times, those are all live.
Some are done pre-tape because it's before the game, and so
Sure.
it's during while they're getting ready to go on
Right.
air, right? And then a lot of those reads are live.
Wow.
Yeah, a lot of them are live.
Wow.
That's when the person
Incredible.
reaches over, the stage manager reaches over and throws the round of note cards that are
Salute
laminated.
to Billy Mack, man.
Yeah,
It's the best.
yeah,
The one and only.
that's a
He
great job.
is.
All right. Billy Mack. You were
Like
a
enough
bucket.
Billy Mack talk.
Bucket or
Move on.
brick. JJ Redick, after the loss to the Nuggets, said their second half performance was an aberration. After the loss to the T-Wolves, he said it's looking more and more like it's not an aberration. Bucket or brick. The Lakers' bad performances in second halves are an aberration.
I'm going to brick this. Like, to me, an aberration. Like the Lakers last year being bottom 5 in three-pointers made and three-pointers attempted. That was an aberration because, I'm sorry, that was not an aberration because it was a season-long trend. Like, I don't know. To me, I might be arguing against myself. I don't remember the damn questions, but no, I want to see more bad second halves before I call it
You
an
have me
aberration.
questioning what an aberration is.
Yeah, I was sitting there too. I'm like, wait,
Yeah.
what?
Am I redefining the word aberration?
Okay.
I feel like it's too. Plus, he used it like a double negative to describe the aberration himself, JJ. It's too soon to call it an aberration or anything like that.
Can I say it's a bucket and a brick? Because, like Brez said,
I think I just
not
did.
enough information. Like it has been
Thank you
a
for cleaning it up.
recent. It has been
Yeah.
a recent trend.
Yes.
I don't know if for the small sample size of 21 games, there's been enough to qualify as aberration or not aberration. I will say this: it needs to stop.
That's a good start.
How about that?
I will bucket that.
Yeah,
that's,
there
that's
you
an
go.
absolute bucket. Yeah.
All right. Bucket or brick. LeBron James will score 25 plus points in Miami on Wednesday night. Can you believe that man averaged 25 for 21 straight years?
No,
That's crazy.
That's insane.
You know what? I'm going to try to speak this into existence. Bucket, bucket,
Great.
Bucket. Just
Yeah.
because.
just because.
Just because.
Yeah, I mean, he's back in, you said Miami, right? Not the Atlanta game, Miami. He's back in Miami, yeah. I mean, he likes playing in Cleveland, likes playing in Miami. It will happen. Maybe he'll remind all of us that he's still got some game left.
Got it. Last one. Bucket or brick. The Lakers' biggest need is a wing player, not a center. Bucket or brick. The Lakers' biggest need is a wing,
Go
not a
ahead,
center.
AK.
Oh, that is a big time bucket.
Yeah, you
I'll
just
give it even
alluded to it.
2 buckets. Absolutely.
Double bucket.
Because to me, they could use an upgrade for backup big, particularly with Jackson Hayes not available. Like, I think Christian Coloco's actually done pretty well, pressed into this duty, but they need someone with more experience. But that guy, particularly once the playoffs rolls around, the role is only going to be so big because Anthony Davis is the best player on this team, which makes him by definition the best center on this team. So he's going to get the bulk of those minutes. They have more of a widespread need for wing defenders, wings in general, two-way wings if possible. So yes.
You know who is second in the West right now? The Houston Rockets. They have so many young athletic wings that Cam Whitmore is not even playing for them. He's been in the G League most of the season. So this is an absolute bucket over and over and over. It used to be shooting. I would have said shooting a month ago, maybe even 2 weeks ago, but the advent of Dalton Connect, I'm just going to keep going. They did not shoot well yesterday, and Dalton Connect has had a 2-game swoon, I guess you could call it. Would that be an aberration? I don't even know.
Do you do advent calendars?
Yeah, as a kid, for sure. I loved advent calendars. Yeah.
Squirrel!
Do you?
Is it chocolate? Is it mini alcohol bottles?
Ooh,
Is it...
I've never had a mini alcohol bottle one.
No?
That could be good.
Maybe that'll be your Christmas gift.
Oh, thank you. Now that you got the makeup
We
artist
have
taken
2
care of.
advent calendars in our home.
Ooh, what do you have?
Well, one of them, honestly, I don't know what's in either one of them. It's totally my wife's department.
Don't you open the days?
It's honestly, the advent calendar is none of my business. Like, my side of the family pays no attention to it.
Oh, okay.
I don't really understand what it is, but I just know we have 2 of them.
It's a little treat a day.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Do you guys have an
understand
elf
the
in your
concept.
house?
We do not have an elf in our house.
You do not.
No, I help. Look, I love helping decorate the Christmas tree and putting all the stuff all over the house, but that is truly my wife's department.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Nacho Brett, do you guys have elves in your house? First year for it. Oh, first year? What's its name? Elfie?
That
Well
sounds,
done.
That sounds made up.
Nacho, do you guys have an elf? No. You have little kiddos, right? Yeah. Elf on the shelf, you mean? Yeah, the elf on the shelf. Yeah.
That can be really traumatizing because I've heard of families that forget to move the elf. You have to move it every night, right? And the kid sees it,
Brett,
hasn't moved.
don't mess it up.
Yeah.
She did?
Well, do not traumatize your kids. Hide the elf every damn day, guys.
I feel like you also need to explain to your kid, like, no, really, it's a toy. We are moving this, because otherwise, I feel like that could be.
This is a family-friendly show.
I just feel like that could be super traumatizing.
What
like
next?
this
There's
elf
no
is just
Easter bunny?
This elf is just moving all over the place by itself. Like if a kid doesn't understand it, that could be very frightening.
Well, yeah, when you don't move it, it thinks the elf is dead, apparently.
There's no perfect way to handle the elf on the shelf.
Maybe he got an alcohol advent calendar. That's for another day. Thanks to you for listening to the Lake Show podcast presented by Jack in the Box. If you like what you hear, leave us a
To all
rating
the
and review on your
pontooners
favorite
out there.
podcast app. We want to hear from you.
pontooning.
Send us
Elf
your
on a
questions. Hit
pontoon.
us up on X at really. Clifton Neck, Gator 3, and Mike
How about an
_
advent
Bresnahan.
alcohol
Until next week.
calendar on a
What's your
pontoon?
social handle?
At Cam Brothers.
He'll hit you with the AK. So you know it's him. Did you know there's a new way to watch your favorite team, and it's available exclusively to Spectrum customers this season? You can watch Lakers games on Spectrum SportsNet Plus with the NBA app on us when you add internet and at least one mobile line. This offer is a slam dunk total value of $194.99. To learn more, head to spectrum.com/getlakers.